What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another edition of history that you may not know, and history that is valuable and important that you should. Today's lesson will be focused on the riot and massacre of Memphis, Tennessee in 1866. The reason why I think this is impactful was because this is right after or during Reconstruction era in America. The reason why it's such a big deal because it's a 3-day ride started based off Black Americans' rights being refused. The rights were being chastised against due at this time because at this time, remember, you had the 13th and 14th Amendment, what were just happening in the United States. They were in Reconstruction and the building of development of Blacks in the southern part of the United States. The whole United States were occurring at this time. The reason why this was such a huge and big deal was because Blacks at this time were really flourishing post-slavery. We must remember, all the skilled tradesmen, craftsmen, and leaders in this country were the formerly enslaved citizens of the United States. And now that these enslaved citizens got somewhat equal rights in the United States, the passage will begin to move. The reason why this issue was so big was because it was actually a Black soldier who was a leader in Memphis at this time, hometown hero, very beloved, very beliked figure. And when he was coming back in town, he got arrested because it was estimated that he was trying to get more, political influence. He was trying to galvanize his community, and he was arrested on the false pretenses and literally for no reason. Whites in that community tried to pull an arrest on him. However, the Blacks in this town really did not let that occur. So they tried to arrest this gentleman. The Blacks had their own guns, own defense system, and they did not comply with the police officers. Once the word spread that this Black militia was standing up for itself, or unit as you want to call it, other whites from the side of the coast to their region decided to go in because they thought that, hey, the Blacks were going to take over because they were really bonding strong with each other. The reason why this was so impactful to me is that you had an actual soldier who served in the United States military, came home, got arrested, wanted to pursue his freedom and use the training that he learned while in service with our military, and he was treated less than. This story was such a big deal because this riot and battles lasted for 3 days. And a lot of Black folks in that time were killing, arming, so went the white people, were arming and killing each other. This riot got to be such a big deal that the national military had to come in and restore a little peace. They had to come in and break it up, allegedly, and restore order. However, it was many Black folks at this time that said when the military came in, they were primarily targeting the Black Americans in that area. How they were targeting, they were shooting them, arresting them on false pretenses, burning down the homes of individuals that lived in Memphis, and literally just targeting the Black communities. Police officers and military personnel were battling because literally you had all Blacks having their own form of police officers battling against the military by saying, hey, you're overly targeting those who are involved in the riot. That is true. How come you're only targeting these individuals in their homes and breaking down their economic structure? Another reason why this is very eye-opening to me was you could see the seeds being sowed of Black people in America having a negative influence towards police officer. Looking at it from this scope of reference, if I was in that perspective during that time, I can understand why the distrust has already been sowed in that environment. It was such a big deal that literally towards the end of those periods, over thousands or so Black folks that were in that part of town lost their home and virtually became homeless and having to seek and rebuild and start over. You see these issues around this time began to brew. And as you look at the history, the whole scope of why we look at it so much, we can always see the cause, which was military soldiers going into and police force joining forces, and the effects of, oh, wow, you still see the distrust among law enforcement and actively to this day. We have never actually discussed where that comes from and why that is. Anybody that does not know, me being a history scholar as I am, history is a study of cause and effect. If you ever wonder why this distrust, this ideology, these feelings about one person happened, there was an occurrence. And as you look at the stories, as early back as 1866 in Memphis, you can see law enforcement centering themselves, causing division, and not properly restoring the order as it needs to be. This Memphis story was so eye-opening to me because blacks faced so much racism around this time and had to literally rebuild without any proper reinforcement. Now, you did have the Freedmen's Bureau, who were known at that time to really help to restore somewhat, but they still were so much neglected and hurt at that time. Just imagine losing your house. I want to think about, we had a house fire this year personally, and being without a home is really a crappy feeling. You feel hopeless because you just have to move around and maneuver it in the best way you can. But to know that law enforcement and the military did that to you had to be a humbling feeling. No one was arrested, no one was prosecuted, and no one seek proper retribution. Again, the study of history is always the cause and effect. And if you've been to Memphis, Tennessee right now, a lot of the places is still not restored in order. A lot of that spirit is still lingering around. Fighting, intermortal, and the destruction of Memphis as a city is still there. And let's also not forget, it's the place where Martin Luther King was assassinated. All right, it's your boy King Crowder checking back out, y'all. Coming to you with a hot lesson that I think is very important that we learn. We must reflect and learn from our past and see where we're going in the future. America's history is very thick. It's very important to learn every facet of it, not just from one scope and lens. I want you to learn the story is the important factor. If we only learn from one perspective and never the other, how will we ever learn, grow, and understand? It's me checking out, y'all. If you have any comments, concerns, or feedback, please give it to me, and I'll try to implement as best I can. Peace.